Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. As you'll be able to tell, I'm at the coast, and at the moment there's probably quite an unusual camera angle, but I'm in quite a rush to try and get set up for a shot off in the distance of some rocks. And at least at the moment we've got quite an interesting sky, but I can even see it changing right now in front of me. So I need some light to come out in these rocks, but I've just literally got to a position. I need to get to the highest point and the furthest right point that I can be on these rather treacherous rocks to try and get the shot composed the way I want, to try and get the separation that I want. So this is the very best position from which I can take the shot from where my tripod is at the moment. And looking at it, I think I'm going to need my telephoto lens on. So first thing to do is get that onto the camera, and then we can have a look and see if the composition is going to be any good. So the coast really is a fantastic place to come if you're a photographer, as you're probably well aware, but it can be rather difficult to work in. Today I'm fortunate to have nice conditions. There's hardly any wind, but we still have all the usual things to deal with: sand, treacherous rocks, and the ever-changing tide to be mindful of as well. Right, that may well be the shot just there. You may not see it in the video, it'll be tiny off in the distance, but I've literally just got my shot set up, the composition is framed, and I focused, and I was ready to take the shot because I noticed way off in the distance there was a huge tanker coming in from the left, moving across the horizon to the right. And I thought it would look quite good positioned in a little gap. We've actually got a small fishing boat coming in there, so with a bit of luck I would actually have got two boats in a small gap between some of the rocks that I'm shooting off in the distance. In a minute those two boats, and I think the small fishing boat will arrive quickest, but they're going to move into another gap to the right of my shot, so that could prove interesting as well, and I will take another exposure or two when that happens. But yeah, it's been a real struggle to get into this spot. It's extremely precarious. I don't really want to go any further down. If you have a look at that, the tripod's as high and as far right as I can get it, as I talked about earlier. And yeah, having had a look at that, the small fishing boat's just moved across. It was probably nicer when that boat was to the left, but I'm mainly interested in getting the huge ship off in the background. I've got it in the gap to the left, and it's now going to move across and be in the perfect position in just a few seconds to the right. So I've got both options, and this one's been a bit of a struggle to get to. Not much time to explain the composition, but I'm really focusing in on a pattern of rocks off in the distance and trying to get some of the nice sky above them, and that ship going past in the distance as I spoke about. So that was rather hectic. I had to end up making a rather hasty retreat from that spot. It was a lot of effort. I hope the photograph was worth it, but regardless, it was a lot of fun. Before I come out, I checked the tide times, and I just spotted this potential shot, which you will now have seen. And I needed to get, as I spoke about, high up and as far to the right to get that shot as I could. and it was all rather a rush, getting the shot, taking some video and so on. And when I turned around, I could see the tide was coming in, so you may not see them, but I got a little bit of wet feet getting out of there in a hurry. I also saw a potential opportunistic shot of some people going past in canoes, which I literally grabbed handheld just before I made a hasty retreat. So if that one turned out any good, you'll probably have seen it by now, or you will in just a second. One of my hopes for tonight is to try and get an image nearer sunset, but I'm not 100% sure if I'll manage to do that. Of course, I need to find a composition and so on, but what's giving me doubts is the amount of cloud cover in the sky. As you can maybe see, it's raining at the moment, and there's a lot of cloud, a lot of it low down, so potentially the sun could go behind that, and the sunset won't really amount to much in terms of me getting a nice image. But we'll have to cross our fingers and see what happens. But for now, there's still quite a lot of spaces in the sky before the sun goes behind that low cloud cover, so I'm hopeful to try and get at least another image. It's looking a little bit bleak now, at least for the moment. I was talking about the cloud and the rain. It's still raining, and so much more cloud is just swept in from my left, and it's now firmly covering most of the sky. The sun is behind it at the moment. There's a few little breaks, so I'm not giving up hope for an interesting sky. However, with this type of weather, when the light does break through the clouds, when there's a gap and it's been raining, the light can have a magical quality to it. And luckily I was around this scene here and it really caught my interest. The light just came out briefly about 6-7 minutes ago now, and it was just lighting up areas of this scene, which was just beautiful. There was light, there was shadow, and then a really moody backdrop, a moody sky off in the distance. So I had no time to set up the video camera and talk about it. I just had to grab the shot, and now as you can see, everything looks quite dull and bleak and the light is just flat. There's no interesting light and shadow now compared to what there was a little while ago. So I'll show you the image that I've captured, and I'm going to keep crossing my fingers that I'm going to get a gap in those clouds for the sun to break through, get some interesting light, perhaps a little bit colour, and yeah, see what happens. But for now, everywhere is looking rather bleak. At the moment I'm capturing this scene behind me, and for quite a while the sun has been behind clouds like I've spoken about. There's now a little bit of light just broken through, but looking at the direction the sun is going and what's underneath it, I think it's going to go behind clouds again shortly, but I'm hopeful for some gaps. I've been using my downtime, so to speak, when the light hasn't been good, to have a look around, and I'm not really seeing anything interesting off in the direction where most of the colour in the sky will be. But I'll revisit that anyway in a while if I do think there's a potential composition. But at the moment I've been drawn to this scene off in the distance. It's just starting to get a little bit of glow, a nice little bit of colour, but it's quite moody as well. There's lots of nice atmospheric clouds, and the rocks are coming out from the right into the scene, and there's a boat out at sea with its lights on, which will provide a nice little, very small bit of interest in the image. So I've got the telephoto lens on again for this shot, and just try to compose it nicely and grab it while the boat is in a nice position. So yeah, having a look around, there's some quite moody sky, and it's just a case of trying to find a nice composition in a in a direction where the light in the sky is to my liking, really. But anyway, I'm going to have a look around, and for now I'll show you this image, which will hopefully turn out quite nice. As you'll probably be able to see from the video at the moment, the sun has came underneath some clouds and there is a break, so we're getting some of that nice warm golden light that we all love at sunset and at sunrise, of course. So I've captured my final image for today, and I've not really seen anything that I think makes for a interesting classic traditional landscape type of image. So what I've been doing is getting the telephoto lens again onto my camera, and I can't point the camera in the direction at the moment which I've been photographing because the sun is just way too bright. But I've seen an interesting background, some mountains off in the distance, and a rather nice shape or structure which I placed at the bottom of my image of some rocks just behind me here. I won't show you them because it's too bright. And then there's been a seabird as well, just perched on those rocks. And we've got some nice colour and clouds off in the distance. So I think it makes for something a little bit different. And when we do photography for a long time, we're often looking for these types of things. Things are just a little bit different from the traditional landscape shot. Of course, we'll never stop taking that type of image, but I think it's always good just to look and try different things. And as I say, for me, I'm not really seeing anything that interests me at the moment in terms of being a classic landscape shot. The other reason that I'm perhaps not finding anything is that I'm reluctant to explore, and the reason for that is I can see a lot of young seabirds which have not long left their nests, and I don't want to disturb those. And I've been keeping my distance from the bird behind me here because as some other people who went past, I've seen it get a little bit agitated, so I think it's perhaps near a nest or near some young as well. So I'm restricted where I can go, but I'm quite pleased with this image to finish off the day. So I'll show you that in just a second. I really hope you like it, and as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one.